Okay, so today is Gimel Tammuz, and we in Eretz Yisrael are learning the Haftara of Pashad Chokat. Gimel Tammuz was on Shabbat Chokas, and I see Simcha is not on. She's the only one in the group at the moment that is actually from overseas, and the Haftara is for us in Eretz Yisrael, because overseas they're still doing Parshas Korach, which we did last week. The Haftara of Parshas Chokas is really a simple, not simple, but very little Rashi, and it's very connected to one part of to the Parsha, and there's a lot to learn. So I will open up, but I will make it shorter so we should have time to be able to hear each other. Why isn't it on? It should have been on. I'm sorry today, I don't know why. Let me just do that. Yes, and now do that. Really sorry today that it's me more time. Here it is. The Haftara of Parshas Chokas. Okay, it takes place in the times of the, as you see here, the judges. It's from chapter 11 of the Judges. And we will soon see what is the connection to the Parsha. The Parsha we're doing is the Parshas Hokat, which is a very special Parsha. It's talking about the Chukim, mostly the laws of the Para Duma, the red heifer, and the first words of the Parsha is Zot Chukat HaTorah. This is the rule of Torah. Chukim are, we know our mitzvot are divided in three categories: the mishpatim, which are mitzvot that commandments that we understand; edut are commandments that are witnesses, called witnesses. An ed is a witness the history of Am Yisrael. And then there are the chukim, which are the super rational mitzvot. And it starts right away with the red heifer, which we know is very, very paradoxal type of mitzvah. The one who it's to burn a red heifer, to pure and use the ashes to purify somebody who was impure, and the Kohen that does it becomes impure. It's fire and water. Everything that has to do with this mitzvah is very paradoxal, very super rational, that we don't understand. Shlomo HaMelech didn't understand. Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, this is going to purify, taking ashes mixed in water. This is going to purify from death. And, you know, I'm sure you all learned, this is not our class, it's not the Parsha, it's the Haftara, that it's something beyond our understanding. And actually, the Rebbe says that when it says Zot Chukat HaTorah, we should understand that actually the whole Torah, even the things that we understand, things that we like to do, things that talk to us, like the kids say, it talks to me, it's really all in the realm of chukim. Everything is actually super rational. We see some things as rational, you know, honoring our parents and not to kill are rational, but actually we should really understand it's super rational. Like Rashi says, we have to say, it is a decree issued by me, by Hashem, and you have no permission to doubt its relevance. Our attitude to all the mitzvot should be that it's a chok, chukat haTorah. The beauty of this parsha is also that it teaches us about the Nasi, Moshe Rabbeinu. As we see here, it says, Leolam, forever, it will always be called on your name, the cow that Moshe prepared in the desert, because Moshe is the Nasi, So the whole Torah and everything is Torat Moshe. Moshe emet, v'torato emet. That the leader, Moshe Rabbeinu, is the heart of the Jewish people, and he is the soul of the Jewish people. And the Torah, he brought us the Torah, and it's called on his name because he lives forever, and the Torah lives forever. Another thing we have in the parsha, towards the middle and the end, we have the death of Miriam recorded in this parsha, and the death of Aaron, two of Moshe's siblings, they were three shepherds. We had three shepherds in the Midbar, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, and two pass away in this parsha. And one will pause after learning the Haftarah, or after we finish learning the Haftarah, we will go back to that and learn what is really a shepherd of Am Yisrael, Lichvod Gimel B'Tammuz. But in the middle, between that and that, we do have parts of the Torah tells us here about the wars and the conquering, because this parsha takes place in the 40th year, right before going into Israel. And that's when they passed away, Aaron and Miriam. They lived with us through the 40 years and shepherded us and took care of us in the 40 years. So also this parsha goes through a little bit through the history. You know, here it mentions Mitzrayim and Sichon and Og, many things that we went through going into Israel. And the Haftarah actually focuses on this parsha, part of the parsha, not on Aaron, Moshe, and Miriam. Okay, so we are reading the Haftarah that takes place in the times of our judges. It's like 300 years already into it that we were in Israel. And it tells the story of conquering Sichon and Og that was mentioned in the Parsha. The Haftarah takes place, I'm reading now from one of the books that I use, the 11th century BCE, for the if you want to know a timeline, when we were in the midst of doing tshuva after a spell of idol worshiping. And that spell of idol worshiping brought upon us enemies like Ammon and the Plishtim. This was an ongoing fight that we always had for many, many years. And as we are removing all the avodah zarah, the alien gods that we had, Ammon launched another attack. And the Jews were in a quandary. Who will lead them against these fighting enemies? So the Haftarah starts with the Jews approaching a person by the name of Yiftach. In Hebrew, in English, it's Jephthah, Yiftach in Hebrew. How they, the process of getting him to agree to lead the Jewish people to fight against the Plishtim, and especially Ammon and Moab, and to win over them, to bring more peace onto our nation and our land. Something that we're still going through, very current event. So we'll just read the Haftarah. Yiftach had a very sad life. He was a mighty man, as it says in the first verse, but he was the son of a woman who sinned and had Yiftach as as a child, and she gave birth to Yiftach. Now, and she gave birth to his father's name was Gilad. Now, Gilad really had a wife, and she bore him sons. And his wife's sons grew up, and they drove Yiftach out, and they said to him, you should not inherit in our father's house, for you're the son of another woman. He was born to a Zonah. So he fled from his brothers, and he went to the land of Tov. And their simple idol, actually not simple, it was more idle, men gathered around him, and he went, and they went with him. So he left, and he gathered around him idol, that in Hebrew it says rekim, empty people. Okay, so it gave us a little background who Yiftach was and where he was. And now it's giving us background of what was going on in the Jewish people. After many days, the children of Ammon made war with Israel. And it was when the children of Ammon fought with Israel, the elders of Gilad went to take Yiftach from the land of Tov, because he was a very strong warrior, and they wanted him to lead. And they said to Yiftach, come and become our chief, and we will fight the children of Ammon. And Yiftach said to the elders of Gilad, did you not hate me and drive me away from my father's house? So why have you come to me now when you are in distress? Right? And the elders of Gilad said to Yiftach, therefore we return to you now, and you shall go with you, and you will with us, and you will fight with the children of Ammon, and you shall become our head over all the inhabitants of Gilad. And Yiftach said to the elders, if you bring me back to fight with the children of Ammon, and Hashem delivers them before me, I will become your chief. He puts a condition. I become the chieftain. And the elders of Yiftach said to him, the Hashem shall hear between us. If not according to your words, so we will do. And Yiftach went with the elders of Gilad, and the people appointed to him a head and chief over them. And Yiftach spoke all his words before Hashem in Mitzpeh. And he never left HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He connected to Hashem. And Yiftach sent messengers to the king of Ammon, saying, he starts diplomatically to speak to them. And this is the connection to the Parsha. It goes back all the way where Ammon and Moab drove us nuts in the Midbar, in the desert, what we are learning now in the Parsha. And he asked him, what is it between me and you that you have come to fight my land? And the king of Ammon said to the messengers of Yiftach, because Israel took away my land when they came out of Egypt from Arnon and up to the Yabok, which we mentioned in this week's Parsha, and up to the Yarden, and now restore them peacefully. They're going back 300 years in history to say, actually, we took away their land. And Yiftach continued and sent messengers again to Ammon, and he said to them, so said Yiftach, Israel did not take the land of Moab and the land of Ammon. We didn't. It's on the other side of the Jordan River. We wanted just to go through it. In this week's Parsha, this is what we learned. We asked them if we could go through it, and they said no. Hashem squished them with the two mountains. They hid, and they were going to attack us as we were going through on the other side. They were going to attack, and they hid in the mountainside. This is the end of the Parsha. And Hashem moved the mountains, and all those that were hiding got squished. And we didn't even know. The Jewish people walking through the 600,000 people, that it was more, 1 million people that were walking through, we didn't even know, till the well brought up all their bones, that we realized that we just Hashem made a mystery, a miracle without us even noticing, but we did not conquer their land. So he said, we didn't conquer. And verse 16, because when they came up from Egypt and Israel went through the wilderness up to the Red Sea, they came to Kadesh. And Israel sent messages to the king of Edom and said, let us pass through your land. And the king of Edom didn't listen. And also the king of Moab, right? We learned it with Ruth. They didn't let us through. And he was unwilling, and Israel abode in Kadesh. We settled in Kadesh. Okay. They lived, Ammon and Moab were adjacent to each other on the east and the south of the land of Israel. And they went through the wilderness and went around the land of Edom and the land of Moab. And they came east to the land of Moab, and they encamped on the other side of Arnon. They did not come within the borders of Moab and Arnon and the borders of Moab. Okay, this we learn, he is actually repeating what we are learning here in this week's Parsha. Okay, so this is the connection to the Parsha. And yes, and then we send to Sichon, the king of the Amorites, and the king of Heshbon, and Israel said to him, please let us pass through your land up to our place, up to Israel. And Sichon didn't trust Israel to pass through his border, and Sichon gathered all his people, and they camped in Yatzah, and he fought with Israel. And Hashem said, Hashem, the God of Israel, delivered Sichon and all his people in the hand of Israel, and they struck them, and Israel possessed the land of the Amorites and the inhabitants of that land. And they possessed all the borders of Amorites from Arnon up to the Yabok, and from the wilderness up to Jordan. If you see what Rashi says, that which you say was yours, in reality, they took it from Sichon and not from you. And now Hashem has driven out the Amorites from before his people, and you wanted to possess it. He is coming to claim something that never belonged to him. Is it not that which Chomesh your God gives you to possess, that you may possess, and all that which Hashem has driven out from before, that we shall possess? And now, are you any better than Balak, the son of Tzipor, the king of Moab, which we will learn next week is Pashad Balak? Did he ever strive from Israel? Did he ever fight against them? When Israel dwelt in Heshbon and its towns, and Arar and its towns, and in all the cities along the Arnon, 300 years, why did you not recover them at that time? Why didn't you save us at that time when everybody was fighting with us? Okay, so Rashi, if you want to go through this, we could read this long Rashi, makes the calculation of the 300 years. Okay, so this is since the land was conquered in the days of Yehoshua until Yiftach. Okay, Joshua led Israel 28 years. Othniel then led them 40 years, including the years of oppression of the Cushim. After him was Ehud for 80 years. Including 18 years of oppression of Eglon. Eglon was the father of Ruth. She was the daughter of Eglon. This totals 148 years. I don't expect you, there won't be a test on it, but just to give you a timeline. I like history in a timeline, and we have a picture of where we are. Dvorah then led them 40 years, including the years of oppression of Yachin, or Yabin. Right, Yavin it is. This totals 188 years. Afterwards were 7 years of oppression of Midian, and 40 years of Gidon, then 3 years of Avimelech, thus totaling 238 years. Afterwards, there were 23 years of Tola, and 22 years of Yair. However, one same year coincides for both of them. It's a very exact calculation. Finally, adding the 18 years of Amnon prior to where we are up to now with Yiftach's introduction, this amounts to 300 years. And he says, and we never did anything to you. And I have not sinned against you. And you do wrong with fighting me, wrong with me by fighting against me. May Hashem, the judge, decide this day between the children in Israel and the children of Ammon. Okay, so this was the message that Yiftach sends to the king of Ammon. But the king of Ammon did not listen to the words of Yiftach, which he had sent him. And Vatihi al Yiftach Ruach Hashem, the spirit of Hashem was upon Yiftach. And he passed over Gilad and Menashe, and he passed over Mitzpeh of Gilad, and from Mitzpeh of Gilad, he passed over to the children, to Ammon. And Yiftach made a vow, and he said to Hashem, if you will indeed deliver the children of Ammon in my hand, and it will be whatever comes forth that shall come forth from the doors of my house towards me, I shall return in peace. When I shall return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall Hashem, and I will offer him up as a burnt offering. And Yiftach passed over the children of Ammon to fight against them, and Hashem delivered him in his hand. And he struck them from Aroer until he came to Minit, 20 cities, until Abel Cheramim, and it was a very great slaughter. And the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. This is where the Haftara ends. I know people use the expression of Bat Yiftach, the daughter of Yiftach, which is not part of the Haftara. It continues that if you open up the Nach and the Shoftim, Yiftach makes a vow, right? We read about the vow that the first thing that comes out of my house after I am victorious, I will give up as a korban to Hashem. And the first thing that came out of his house was actually his daughter. Of course, he did not sacrifice her as a burnt offering, but she actually lived, I think, in seclusion. I don't know if the rest of her life or whatever it was, because he vowed. Okay, but that's not the topic of today. This will be another topic that we will one day discuss, the story of Yiftach's daughter. Okay, so that's the Haftara of today. What can we learn from it? What do you say? We could take it in different places that even a man that was shunned by his family has value. And Baruch Hashem, the Chachamim realized his value and were able to bring him up, and he is mentioned forever. We learn his story. His beginning was tragic, and sometimes children pay. Actually, this Haftara teaches us a lot, how children pray for their parents. Bye. Dorothy, I won't be here next week, so there won't be a class next week. Okay. Anyway, Yiftach pays by being a mamzer, or not a mamzer, but an illegitimate child. And then his daughter pays for his vow, which is not really the topic of the Haftara. But also we see how Hashem helps Am Yisrael, and how we start. And also another thing, he started diplomatically, the Jewish way. We start with offering peace. Am Yisrael always offers peace, but after it's refused, we should fight. And it's something our leaders of today have to also learn. Okay, so now let's go a little bit into Gimel Tammuz, talking about the Rebbe. The Parsha also talks about, like I said before, our three shepherds, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. We had three things that these three shepherds gave us as gifts that we merited in their merit to have in the desert. Three things that we all need. Moshe gave us food for the soul, the Torah, of course, and then food, the man we had in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu. Aaron gave us peace by making shalom, ahava, love, avat Yisrael, and also in his merit we had security, the ananei kavod, the clouds that surrounded Am Yisrael, that swallowed all the ammunition. At that time, it was mostly bows and arrows and swords that were thrown by the enemies that we just read in the Haftarah. Those ananei kavod protected us from them. They also protected us from the sun into the desert, washed our clothes, took care of us, gave us a sense of stability and security in the physical and also in the spiritual sense. Then Miriam, see, everything is physical and spiritual. Miriam gave us water. Water is life. We can't live without water. Water is also a conduit of transportation, right? The seas and also in our body. It helps everything pass through our body and get to the right places. What we eat, the food, has to be with water, mixed with water to get and go through into our blood system. You can't get dehydrated because then our limbs and our body start working. The water of Miriam traveled with us, like we said, till this week's Parsha. Water is also Kedusha. We learn in the Parsha, the Paraduma, the ashes were mixed with water and then spritzed on the person. Water is a symbol of life. It's a symbol of tohar, of purity. So they all gave us in our physical sense and also for our spiritual well-being, took care of us in the well-being of our physical bodies, our physical needs, and also our spiritual needs. And that is what a shepherd does, takes care of the whole person. In this week's Parsha, when Aaron and Miriam die, and we are left without water and left without the ananei hakavod, the protective clouds, we get it back in the schus of Moshe Rabbeinu, in Moshe Rabbeinu's merit. In other words, Moshe really is the umbrella that from him, also Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam were able to give it to us the 40 years. Then when they were gone, he took care of it because the ultimate leader from the top, he has the koach to give everything. The water, the man, the ananei kavod, the Torah, the shalom, the ahava, the love, life. The paraduma comes to rectify the sin of death, actually. The main tumah, the umbrella of tumah, is death, which wasn't part of the plan when Hashem created the world. Adam wasn't supposed to die, but he didn't wait long enough, a few more hours. And there wouldn't have been death, but he sinned in Chet Etzadat. And we as Chassidim know that the first Maimer, the Rebbe said, was Basi Legani. Bati Legani, the Israelis say. Lashon HaKodesh, it's Basi Legani. That Hashem said, I came down to my garden. And he planned on staying here with no death. But Adam HaRishon, when he was sinned, he pushed HaKadosh Baruch Hu up, one heaven, then the second, and then another sin, 7 heavens. And then when we came, and then Avram started bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu back down. Till Moshe Rabbeinu b'Matan Torah brought Hashem down, and it was not supposed to be death again. After Matan Torah, the whole idea of death was supposed to be abolished. But then we sinned with Chet Ha'egel, with the golden calf. The Parah Aduma comes to rectify that sin. That's why it's called the Parah of Moshe Rabbeinu. He made it. And because he brought down Hashem, and then we sinned. So he's teaching us how to do it again, to rectify. Zot Chochat HaTorah. Moshe is giving us all the kelim to bring the world back to the Gan Eden stage. That's why the Rebbe started with a Bati Legani, because the Nasi Hador, the Rebbe, is a continuation of Moshe Rabbeinu. Raya Mehemna, a faithful shepherd. And this was Hashem's, this was Hashem's mission when he created the world. And this was the Rebbe's mission when he started his Nisius, being our shepherd. We want to bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu back down to this world. So we can ask, so if Moshe Rabbeinu was able to do all that, why did it have to go through Aaron and Miriam those 40 years? And I think this is something for us, the generation of Gimel Tammuz, a lesson. The Rebbe was able to do everything on his own. But he wanted us. He gave us the strength and he wanted us to do it. He made us all shluchim, the whole world shluchim. The whole world shluchim. And the Rebbe himself said, I did all I can by giving you over the strength. I'm giving you over the strength, like Moshe gave it to Aaron and Miriam. And the last leg of the journey, when they died, he took it back and he brought it down. The Rebbe, after Gimel Tammuz, people ask, why didn't the Rebbe, who was so organized and a master CEO, didn't take care of things after? On one hand, because we never thought there would be after. And we don't feel that there's an after. On the other hand, we could also say, he did. He gave us the strength to continue. Like Moshe gave the strength to Moshe and to Aaron and Miriam, and then to Yehoshua. He taught them what to do. And yes, and with the Rebbe's strength, like Moshe Rabbeinu, really sorry about that, but my mouth is dry. I needed a candy for a second. We will greet Mashiach, because the Rebbe is with us. Like Moshe and Aaron, Moshe was with Miriam and Aaron all along. And the last stretch, the Rebbe will pull us through till to Mashiach, to the revelation of Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Karav Mamish. Okay, now I'm opening the floor if anybody wants to say, but really, really short so we could have everybody say something. And then I have a fantastic story. But first, I'd like to hear from Simcha. Do you want to say something about the Rebbe for Gimel Tammuz? Should I unmute you? Okay, Shimonit, I see you on mute. Let's hear.
Just had a very cute story happen yesterday. A girl got on the bus with a whole lot of suitcases, and I felt that nobody helped her or anything, so I started just talking to her, and I said, "Where are you going?" She says she's going to Brooklyn. I said, "Oh, that's fantastic! You must go to the oil." She said she's never been to the oil, but she's just completed Machon Alta. So now she's going to ask her Rebbetzin to take her to the oil. So I was so happy that I just thought to chat to her.
Wow, so
Hello?
nice. Wow, Shimonit, that's special. We always have to try to connect people to the oil. I want to say that it's funny. I have two women that once showed up to my Tanya class in the Chabad house. And they came in and out like 2-3 times, or 2 times, 3 times. And I asked them if they want to be part of the group. And they said, yes, put us on the group. And I would say it's about 40 years ago. And I can't say that they ever showed up. They're on the group, they get the messages, and sometimes they react, yes, but they never showed up. 2 weeks ago, we wrote on the group that one of the women needs a refuah shlema, and we'll dedicate the shiur. And this is a face-to-face shiur. It takes place now in my house, but it used to be in the Chabad house. So when everybody gathered together, somebody asked, "Who's this Mali? Who is this Varda that commented today? We don't recall them." So I said, "Oh, it's women, you don't remember? They were 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, because we're learning many years together. They once came." Vaguely, did anybody ever remember them? This was on Monday. The following Sunday, I wake up in the morning, and my daughter from Manhattan sends me a picture. "Ma, I took these 2 women to the Ohel." And she sends me a picture, and I see these 2 women. These 2 women. I said, "How'd you get to them?" She goes, "They were in a hotel right next to our Chabad house. They came for Shabbos to the Chabad house. They ate by me Friday, Shabbos. And then I told them, Motzei Shabbat, come, tomorrow I'm taking you to the Ohel." She lives in Manhattan. She goes, "I took them with their husbands to the Ohel." She goes, "Ma, they live in Tel Aviv. They say they know you. They were in your shiur once." Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I thought these women, like, came once and they're not connected and not at all, and et cetera, et cetera. And there, that same week, they show up by my daughter, and she takes them to the Ohel. I thought it was like incredible, really incredible. Okay, anybody else want to say anything? Alkalea.
Yeah, I could. I'll try to make it fast. Rabbi Groner, Alev Shalom, was here once in Sfat, and he told us a story of the Rogatchover Gaon, who was living in the same time as the Rebbe Rishab. That the Talmidim of the Rebbe of the Rogatchover Gaon once asked him to tell them about the Rebbe Rishab. And he said, "I can't begin to enter into who and what he is, but this I'll tell you. Every night he scans the globe looking for lost Jews." And this is what happened to me. I was 2.5 years in India, sitting in the rice paddies. I had been years before that in this whatever. And at the end, how do I know it was the Rebbe who found me sitting there? Because when I finally went out, it was a whole series of miracles, which we don't have time for now. It was like, it took me only a month until I ended up in the Chabad house in Minnesota, which is where I'm from. I had been fasting. I had been put in the hospital for malnutrition. I was not interested in anything of Yiddishkeit, but through a series of miracles, I ended up there, and I heard Tanya for the first time from these 16-year-old girls who came to Minnesota to be counselors in the Gan Yisrael, came from New York.
Wow.
And that's the first time I heard Tanya. It blew me away because all the things that I had been learning all these 7 years, and this is Yiddishkeit, I didn't know. Anyway, Bekitzer.
Wow. To make a life story Bekitzer is really unbelievable, but that's a real wow. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Malka. I can't, you have to unmute. Let me ask you to unmute.
Katonti, when I think, but I just want people to talk very shortly about my dear uncle Elav Shalom Zalman Jaffe, whom Esther's granddaughter married his great-grandson. Now, these people are making sure...
whose name is Zalman Jaffe. He's named after his great-grandfather.
Yeah, and yeah, when we go back to think where they came from in the 1950s, he was a very affluent, wealthy, well-known Jewish businessman with his wife, and they went, after tragic circumstances, to New York for about 50 years. Many times, their main visit was 2 weeks after Shavuos. That is when his yahrzeit for his son was. They never spoke about it, not even to their grandchildren. Until he passed away, no one knew. The Rebbe sent Rabbi Shem Tov Alav Shalom, who instilled in him and my Aunt Rosalind to live, to be happy, to be thankful. And he once said to the Rebbe, "Why are you giving me so much COVID?" The Rebbe gave him, instructed Mrs. Itkin Shalom to let them move in to their basement. When I went there the first time 40 years ago, I couldn't believe it, that my wealthy aunt especially, and in this dilapidated place for 2 weeks. But the Rebbe said to them, "It's not what you've done for me, it's what you're going to do." He built him and his wife up. They have more than 100 shluchim throughout the world, including Esther's family. And there were many stories when the Rebbe said to him, "You don't go anywhere without your wife." And when the curtains, I'm just telling small snippets, when the curtains fell in the Iron Country and 60 Rabbonim were going on a bus, this is in the 1960s, and they said to the Rebbe, everything they asked the Rebbe, all these Rabbonim are going, what about Zalman and Rosalind Jaffe? They were Amcha, they were without beards, without a hat. And he said, no, Zalman and Rosalind Jaffe have to join the Rabbonim. No, they said Zalman Jaffe has to go. And then they asked him, the Rebbe, what about Rosalind, a lady with 60 Rabbonim? She must also go. And the way they were treated, many more stories, but the Rebbe used to meet my aunt and uncle in the street. he used to touch his hat and say, "Good morning, Mrs. Jaffe." After the tragedy of losing her son, and there were more stories, he always said, "You stay with your wife." They travelled all over on business, the length and breadth of England, in trucks together. And when he passed away, the grandchildren amongst themselves said, "What's this? What did the Rebbe say?" 10 days later, his daughter-in-law went to visit her as per usual, 10 days after Shiva, and found her, went to join her husband. Everything the Rebbe instructed. There were so many stories that impossible in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, Esther, Simcha, Esther Roshi can't. Simcha? Yes, Simcha. Simcha, would you like to share something?
Yeah, I'm here, and I don't know.
Okay, louder. We can't. Could you make it a little louder, your mic?
I don't know what to share with you.
Oh,
I really don't know what to say.
okay, Simcha.
He's right. There's so much. There's so much.
I'd like to share a story. Maybe you read or heard the story of Rabbi Bucket. Anybody? A fantastic story.
Rabbi Bucket was, my husband was Ben Bait by his house, and when we became engaged, he adopted me also.
Which one of the Rabbi Buckets? The father of all the Buckets?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Chaim Meir and his wife,
yes.
Esther.
Right. They were cousins, Yeah.
Yes. They adopted us as children, and still today we're connected with the family.
Okay, so do you know his story a little bit? Could I say it? Okay, so
of course.
Okay, it's a very special story, I think. It's a very special story from many, many aspects. Okay, Rabbi Bucket was from the Polish boys that came after the war from Shanghai. There was a group of Polish Hasidim that were able to escape, and they ended up being in Shanghai, China, and then they moved to Montreal, and then some came to New York. And Rabbi Bucket was one of those, what we used to call, the Russian kids, the kids of Russian Bad Hasidim from the Polish Hasidim. So his Baruch Shem, he was a Rav in East Flatbush. Now the area is flourishing with Lubavitchers. At that time, it was not, and he was in East Flatbush, but he was the Rosh Yeshiva of Lubavitcher Yeshiva. My husband learned under him. His daughter was Simcha, and is a classmate of Simcha and myself. And his son, Rabbi Avram Shmuel Bucket Al Vashalom, was one of the shluchim of the Rebbe Teretz Yisrael, and he was nifter from Corona 6 years ago, I guess, Avram Shmuel. I'm actually looking at a picture of him. He's standing next to my husband getting koshel bracha from the Rebbe. So Rabbi Bucket's, one of his oldest, or maybe she's the oldest child, is a woman called Rachel. And Rachel moved in 1969 to Los Angeles on Shlichus in 1968, and I think this story took place in 1969. Rabbi Bucket wasn't feeling so well. He was in New York, wasn't feeling so well, and she started saying, "Come rest up in California. Come to California for a few weeks. You'll rest up, and then you'll go back." And he said, Rosh Yeshiva doesn't go, Chabad, we don't take vacations. No, he was very adamant. He's not going to California. Also, they couldn't afford it. 1969 to go to California was a major trip, and he couldn't afford it. Anyway, she didn't back down, and for days and a long time, she nudged him to come to California to visit, and the main thing, to rest up. And he said, if I would come, I have to bring your mother. And also, I think he had 3 children at home at that time, and he couldn't afford the tickets. Anyway, she drove him so much that he said, okay, I'll ask the Rebbe. So he asked the Rebbe, and the Rebbe answered him in Hebrew 2 words. Kidaihu. Right, El Kalea knows the story. Kidaihu. So you'll correct me when I make a mistake, okay? If I got it wrong. Thank you. Kidaihu, which means it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. So, worthwhile, okay? So he bought Amtrak tickets for himself, his wife, and the 3 children, and they took the train cross country in 1969. It took them, I think, 3 days to get to California. They arrived, I think, Thursday. Friday morning, Rachel, his daughter, says to him, Ta, you'll go to Chabad house to daven, but you'll come home for the Shabbos meal. Don't stay there for the meal with the students. And he said, no, the Rebbe said it's worthwhile, so I'm going to do everything, and I will join the meal with the students. She was upset. She said, no, you have to rest. You'll sit with the students some other Shabbos, this for Shabbos. He said, no. Anyway, he joined the meal. They prepared for him a table. He didn't want, and he sat down amongst the college students, the boys. And he was sitting between 2 boys. And he was talking in his broken English to the boys. And one of the boys answered him in a perfect Polish Yiddish. And so Rabbi Booker asked him, from what city are you? So he says, I'm from, I think, Chelmenitz. So Rabbi Booker said he's from the same city. And together, this is years apart from when he ran away. He ran away because the Frierdiker Rebbe told the Polish students to run. I'll get back to that soon, but to run away when the Nazis started coming. And they discussed different parts of the city, and it was a very nice conversation. Then this young student says to Rabbi Bucket, you should know that there is a group of people, refugees, or people from that city that meet once a month. I'm sure they'll be happy to see you because you were the Shochet's son. 1 second, I have to open the door. I have a class. Okay, leave the door open, maybe. I'm just finishing up. Anyway, to make a long story short, he tells them, I'll check if the people are meeting this month and when it is. It turned out that week or something like that, they had that meeting. Come in, Sharon, come. That week they had a meeting. So they were all excited because Rabbi Bucket was the Shochet's son. And he joined, and they had a very good time. They reminisced, and he spoke, and they felt so proud that one of their landslides, made it, became Rosh Hashiva, made it to the new world, to the new country, etc., etc. Anyway, somebody wrote it up, the story, and posted it on the group, posted at that time, 1969. There was no WhatsApp group or whatever, I think, printed it. They had like a little newsletter amongst themselves or something like that. And a few days later, after everybody got that newsletter, a woman called up this university student and said, I must meet Rabbi Bucket. So he arranged in the Beis Chabad that the Bucket family should meet this woman. I think the son of Rabbi Bucket said, my father felt that there's something very important. He said, he made us all get dressed with our Shabbos clothes. And they met this woman. And this woman tells the following story. And I'm going to do this really quick. She said, I was in the train car that was taking all the people from our city to the death camp. I was there with your mother, with your parents. I was there with your mother. And she saved my life. Now, I just want to retract for a second. I said Rabbi Bucket ran away when the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, said everybody should run away from, try to escape Europe. And that's how he got to China. But the truth is, when the Rebbe told all the students to run away, Rabbi Bucket actually first went home. He went home, he was an only child, the Chelmenitsky, and his Chelmenitz. And his parents did not let him run away. They said he's an only child. They don't want to run. They thought things will turn out okay. The Polish will not harm them. And he begged them, and he said, the previous Rebbe said to run, escape. And they took him to other rabbis who told him that he has to listen to his parents and he has to stay. But he remembered what the previous Rebbe told him, to run. So he stayed for a while, and then one day he escaped and left his parents behind because they didn't want to come. And this woman now is telling him the story. Your mother was with me in the train car. And I one day told her, while we were in that car dying away on the way to the death camp, she said she noticed that when the train car turned, it slowed down. And she said to his mother, to Rabbi Bucket's mother, it slows down every time it makes a turn. There is a window right above us. Let's climb up. And when the car slows down, let's jump. And she says to Rabbi Bucket, your mother said to me that she doesn't feel that she has the strength to jump. And she's afraid that if she'll jump, she'll break her bones. And she doesn't think she could do it. But she told her, I will help you get up to that window. And she did. She helped me jump from the car. And she saved my life. They were all like overwhelmed. They never knew the story. And then she says, but I want to tell you something else. Before I jumped, your mother told me, if you escape and you're saved, look for my son. I have a son somewhere. And tell him he did the right thing by running away and saving himself, that we have no hard feelings, and he should live a full life. And the son of Rabbi Bucket said, my father all the years cried that he left his parents behind and he had a terrible feeling. And this was like cleansing. And then he understood why the Rebbe said to him, go to California, it's worth your while. Kidaihu. Okay, so this I'm saying in honor of Gimel Tammuz. When you listen to the previous Lubavitch Rebbe by running away and listen to the Rebbe to go to California, and he got peace for something that bothered him all these years. Okay, girls, I have to start my next class.
אני מקשיבה למשהו נורא דחוף.
Okay, Malcolm, I'm shutting off the whole thing. Okay, everybody, I won't be here next week, so I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.